Hey guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a great day. I have a pre-collaged journal page here, and so I thought I would do an art journal using some of my prompts again. I really enjoy using these. They're so much fun, and they really help break you out of that blank page paralysis. So I'm just going to jump in and start pulling prompts. Now, I do have a couple in here for collage, so if I pull that, I'm just going to ignore it since I've already got a covered page. All right, keyword variety. So with keywords, you can interpret them however you want, and I hope you join along with me with this today. It could be a variety of colors, a variety of shapes, a variety of sizes, or a variety of different marks. I think what I'm going to do, since I've got a blank page, is I'm going to start with a variety of marks and possibly a variety of tools. So I've got my giant Posca pen. I'll probably definitely use that. I've got my brush tip fine liner. Okay, my third thing will be this lilac Posca pen. So let's get going. I am going to start small. Actually, you know what? Let's start big. Let's get the big one. And the tip is huge. This thing is so much fun to use. And I love the dark marks you get with it. So I'm just going to jump in and just start making some marks. How's that? All right, I'll leave that there. It's almost like you're doing calligraphy. All right, now on to the fine liner. And I'm going to make some finer marks here, kind of around my big Posca pen. This is an acrylic marker, and this is dye-based, so I'm just not going to write over it until it's dry. So I'm just going to kind of avoid that and go next to it so I can keep my tip on this good. But I'm just going to hold it and just sort of let it meander through the page. I really like the random marks you can get through here. And you can vary your thicknesses, but whatever you have on hand will work. You can do anything. All right, now to the purple. And I think let's do some circles like this. And you know what? I need to grab my protective sheet of paper. I forgot to add that. That way I don't get ink on the pages below. All right. And maybe we do a few little marks like this. And I can go right over that black in some of the spots where it's dried. Just like that. I think that would count as good variety. Okay, next up, keyword light. Well, I think for my purposes that means some white color. So I am going to grab my gesso and just add some right here to my journal. And I've got a brush here. I'm just going to moisten it in my jar of water and blot it off pretty well. And I'll start spreading this around. And some of my Posca pen is still wet. That's okay. I actually like a lot of the texture that you can get from that with some slightly damp paint marker, because since I'm dealing with acrylic paint, it doesn't really matter if those mix. I just don't want it to mix with my ink if I can help it. So I'm just going to get this spread, and I kind of like this little patchwork look here, and it kind of knocks everything back, but you still get some of that nice black texture mark coming through, and some of this purple comes through too. So I'm going to leave that just as is, and we have ourselves a really nice textured background. So let's pull our next prompt. Add 2 different shades of purple. Well, I guess that works out well, huh? Okay, in the interest of saving time, I grabbed a couple of pre-mixed purple colors. So I've got this Liquitex Basic Light Purple Violet. So I'm going to put a little dollop on my plate. And Purple Lake from Creative Inspirations. Now, the violet purple is a pretty opaque color, and the Purple Lake is pretty transparent. So by mixing those up, I might get some interesting looks on here. So I'm going to actually go in with the same brush, and I think for this one, I'll dip into this first, and I'm going to follow this circle theme. And this is a pretty transparent color, so it will still show through some of those marks from the background. And I might not even fill those in. I kind of like how that looks. So why not just make it bigger, right? And I'll do the same thing there. Just like that. And maybe we'll have one coming out of the edge here and one there. What do you think? I like it. Okay. Now I'm not going to rinse my brush. I'm going to dip right into this purple violet, or blue violet, and I'm going to use the end of my brush to make some marks on my page like that. And maybe I'll even go around some of these circles just like that. And I could maybe go along a circle, and maybe I'll make some dash marks. And I like the way that actually mixes together. That's pretty, because I've got a little bit of that Purple Lake on my brush, and so it kind of blends on my page into a really beautiful color. And I'm just gonna bring that right down to the end like that. And maybe I'll have a little bit come up that way just for some extra texture. So we almost have like a Y shape like that. All right. Okay, next prompt. Let's jump in for another one. Add white. Well, what do you know? I've got my gesso out still. All right, let's add some more white on here. And I'm just going to kind of put a little blob on my plate. And I'm going to go in for my smaller filbert brush now. And what I might do is add some white dashes right to these little marks that I made with my other brush with that second shade of purple. And so I'm just going to put one right at the bottom of each one like that. And maybe I'll grab some more of this white and surround the outside of my circles. Just like that. So I'll just kind of go around. Now my color may mix with color that's already on my journal, but that's fine because we're just having fun here, getting loosened up and having some good times with paint. And you just never know. With these prompts, you'll never know what you find that you just really love. And you can see I've still got some of that black Posca pen mixing in, but I really love that. It's beautiful. I'm going to come around here, Maybe add a little bit of another bit of line. I think that's pretty. And maybe we'll have a donut. All the better for some extra contrast. Why not? We're going to have a very circly art journal page today. Okay, next prompt. Add 2 different shades of blue. Okay, so like I said, you can always interpret it yourself. This is technically a blue violet, and I already have some on my plate. So that's going to be one of my blues and one of my purples. And this is turquoise. So I am going to get myself a little turquoise. And let's see what we get. So I'm going to start with this light blue violet. And I'm going to add some more of that, I think, to some of my outside white rings. And maybe I'll just add some dots around it. Just like this. And then I'll figure out something with the turquoise. And this is coming along pretty cool. I really like the colors we've got going on here. And luckily, blue and purple work pretty well together. And this is a very unique journal page. And we're just playing a lot with that texture. Boy. All right. I think I'm good there. Now for the turquoise, what I might do is put in kind of along this same pattern I've got here with the dashes and dots. I might put in some of these dark kind of oval shapes like that. And this adds a really nice contrast because it's a very dark color compared to what I already have on my page. And I'm going to just kind of come in here and put these colors on and let that contrast happen. So I'm going to try to put it near some areas where maybe I have a lot of white or not a whole lot going on, and I can have some of that contrast. Now I kind of have a line of them going here, so I'm going to break that up a little bit, put one there, and maybe one right here, like that. And I want to have one kind of coming from the top and another one there. That way it's just not trapped in the journal page where it's kind of coming off and it's almost like the pattern continues. And I might even put a second one down at the bottom there. And I really like that. And so I might do just a couple little dashes, because this is a great way to play around with your brush too and see all the different types of marks that you can make. And now I'm using the tip of my brush, which almost puts in these little dashes or small crescents just by going in with the tip. And right now we're just working on texture, getting color on the page, getting multiple layers on there, and really just testing out how we like how it looks. Okay, let's do our next prompt. I'm going to mix these up a little bit and grab one. Draw a long line with a mark making tool. Okay, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to bring some black back into this. but since I have wet paint on my page, I'm going to do it with some black paint. All right, I've got my lamp black. I'm going to put a little dollop out here. And I'm going to stay with my filbert brush. It's been doing pretty good for me tonight. So I'm going to just jump in. So I've got some black showing here and a couple of other little spots. I think what I'm going to do is make another nice long meandering line. And I'll just kind of dip in for some more paint. And I'm not even holding my brush carefully, and I'm kind of letting it twist and turn. And I'm just going to let it go right through my paper, just like this. And I'm going to end it maybe right up there. Now what I'm going to do is make some parts of this line a lot thicker. So I'm going to go over some of these spots where I was and just add some extra thickness to my line, and maybe even a lot of thickness, and just really work on getting this shape like that. And I'll probably add some more down here and over here. Yes. All right. Now, maybe we continue some of this line. Maybe down this way. What do we think? And we'll just let that come right through the painting. All right, next prompt. Add 2 different shades of red. All right, so I think I have an idea. Okay, I have some red alcohol ink that I made and some red acrylic ink. And actually, this kind of works out because this is a very cool piece of art, but now we can warm it up a bit with some red. So I'm just going to take the lid off here and add a couple little splashes, not too much. I don't want to overpower it. I just want to add a little hint, just like that. Maybe just a couple little spots here, and maybe even follow this a little bit, and then that'll be all I add. And this will actually lighten up some more as it dries. And then for my other red, I'm going to put just a tiny bit here and see what we can do with that. I can always get more, but that ink is expensive. I don't like it to go to waste. So I've got just a damp brush, and I'm gonna maybe add some little sort of mounds of something, sort of more organic shapes. And how about another one here? And then what I might do is just get a little bit of water on my brush and wet it, and just give it a couple of splashes. And I love the opacity of the ink because you can even see it over the black paint on the page here, even though it's so watered down. And I'm just going to concentrate some here and here, and just really have it kind of follow this line, just like this. All right. All right, we've got our 2 different shades of red. Let's go to our next prompt. Draw something on the other side of the page from where you last marked. Okay. Well, I last marked up here, so I guess that would be down here. And I might go back into this blue violet, and maybe I'll kind of fill some spots in. Why not? And make some of this kind of go to the back. And I might even let it mix with some of that red. And just kind of come up like this. And why don't we have a little bit coming down over here? And how about that? Then we can kind of quiet this down just a little bit. And we'll still have plenty of texture coming through. And I can dry brush a little bit over this way to kind of blend it a little bit better. And I kind of like sort of following the outlines of some of these turquoise marks too. Like, why don't we go ahead and do some of that there? And just really, just quiet it. All right, on to our next prompt. Splash paint or ink? Well, I've got plenty of paint, so let's go for that. And why don't we splash some white? Only because looking at this, it's got a lot of darks and midtones now, and I could bring some brightness back in here. So I am just going to add a little bit of water to my brush and my paper. That way my paint is a little bit more fluid. And I'm going to put some white splashes on this black too, because I might as well take advantage of all that wonderful contrast. And I think this might end up being my focal point. And I can just keep going and really make it a heavy splash. And the parts where it's mixing a little bit with my red paint, that looks really neat too. I really like that. I'm just going to put my plate here a little bit to protect my prompt case. All right. I kind of like how some of those streaks sort of happen when you tap it pretty hard. I think that looks pretty neat. I like it. Okay, how about the next prompt? Dry brush. All right, I can do that. Let's go back to this one. How about it? And I'm going to continue with the white. And I'm going to get just a little on my brush. And why don't we bring in some of this again? I'm just going to go kind of loose and just add some texture back in and knock even more back, but also add some of that nice contrast. And maybe I'll even go over some of that black. Why not? All right. maybe. Push some of it all to the back. How's that? I've got a little bit left. Let's see, where do we want to go? Maybe out from here a little bit. Yeah, like that. And I'm just going to bring that up right out of the top. And this one come back in from the side more. And I'm not going to overwork it, but I'm just going to bring some of that marking back in. I like that. That looks good to me. Okay, next prompt. Let me mix these up a bit. Add dashes, dotted lines, or hash marks. Okay, I can do that. I think I'm going to go back into that turquoise and follow this up. And I'm just going to use the end of my brush, and I'm going to kind of skip over. I didn't do it there, but I'm going to skip over a bit where that white kind of covers it up. And I'm going to follow along with this organic mark and just add a little bit there. Okay, next up, add 3 pieces of collage paper. I'm going to put that aside because I'm not going to collage anymore on this today. Add white. Okay, I'm going to add some more white, but a different kind of white. So let me put another blob on because I sort of used up everything on my plate that I had. I'm going to go back in with my filbert. And I think I'm going to do some more of that tone down and kind of come out here and sort of scumble a little bit and just add some more of the contrast right next to some of these spots where I just want to add contrast texture, have it kind of blend in with that purple a little bit, sort of trail off, and then put it next to that black, because that black has the biggest opportunity for contrast. And this is kind of nice actually, because I am blending this with some of that color that's on the page already, and I really like that look actually. And it just adds even more texture. And I'm sort of sticking into some of these spots where I know I've got dark color, and I'm putting the white next to it because that definitely pumps up that contrast. And that's what really helps get that visual interest into your painting. And I think that's really doing something for this. And it just adds another layer. I kind of like that there, so I'm going to keep it, but I am going to come up around here and just keep going with that scumbling. And get that pure white in there. Also around here. Nice. Now, before I go further, I kind of want to do something to add a little more texture. And I've got one of my protective sheets. I am just going to put this right down over the top and peel up some of that extra paint, and it will leave a really nice texture on this too, which I like. And you can see it pulled up a little bit, not too much, but some of those sort of wet paint marks. And I think that looks really neat. Okay, I think instead of doing more prompts, I'm actually going to get back into my acrylic ink and get some more red on this paper. I'm going to put a few little drops there, and I think I was looking at these little blobs and they kind of remind me of flowers, and so I think I'd really like to add those. But what I'm going to do first is go down with a base of white so that it kind of clears off some of this background, and I can put the red over it and it will really pop. That way I don't have red on top of the turquoise or the black. And I think I'm just going to add almost like some just simple little flowers here, and kind of scatter them down through the painting. Just like this. And I'm going to sort of loosely follow along with this black. And I'm going to have some kind of coming to the side. They won't all face front. I'll just have some like that. And just make them very organic looking. Just like that. And we can just really have fun with it. Okay, maybe another one here, because I want some to be maybe right next to each other coming down this line, because why wouldn't they be, you know? And they don't have to be just one little flower at a time. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to rinse my brush very well. And then I'm going to come right in with that red while the paint is still wet. And it might brighten it just a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm just going to kind of go over some of these spots, just like this. And you can see it kind of turning a little bit pink. That's okay. And this pop of red just really makes a huge difference over that white. And I'm just sort of loosely following it. And we have some of these almost like they're in the background. And that's nice too. I'm just going to mop up the last little bit of red that I have, and I think I've got it everywhere. I don't see any spots that I missed. So I'm just going to take a quick look around and make sure I'm not missing color anywhere. I might put an extra little petal there, an extra little petal over here maybe, and that can be maybe a bigger flower. Yeah, I think that looks good. And then I'm going to grab my trusty stylus and go into my black. Since we have some, I'll add that for the contrast. And I'm just going to kind of dab some in the center of some of these front-facing flowers, and some from the side. I'll just kind of pop one in the top or something like that. And I'm just being messy with it so it keeps that organic feel. Like this one here, actually I have a little bit of red ink that's very wet there in the middle, so I don't know if I can get one down there right now. Let me just pick a little bit up with my brush. All right. Let's see about now. Perfect. And it's kind of a thick application of paint, and it'll really make those flower buds pop. Maybe add a little one here. I think that looks gorgeous. We have that. It's kind of funny when you're working with either all warm or all cool colors and you add a pop of the opposite to your page, and it just really pops out. And warm things tend to pop out at you and cool things recede. And it makes sense if you think about when you look at landscapes and things, and the mountains far off in the distance have that sort of grayish look and they're just kind of washed out. It's a lot like that here, where we have some bright colors, but they're just very cool. And they will just kind of fall behind the warm reds, yellows, oranges that you put on them. So this I love. I think it looks really beautiful, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I'm going to take out my protective sheet. Thank goodness for art prompts, right? Because it makes a world of difference when it just gets you into your zone. So I'm going to give you a close-up here. You can see all the texture, all the brush marks, the mark making, and all of those different prompts that we followed together. And your work of art might look, well, I'm sure it looks completely different than mine. But the point is to have fun with it and just really let go and see what happens. You just never know the direction it'll take you. So I hope you enjoyed following along with me today with the art prompts. And don't forget, if you want a set of your own to print, just visit my website under free resources and you can download and print your own. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And until next time, keep creating. Have a good night.